part where you are
You are.
popular. So the idea would be, okay, let's cut Monze into two. Jack Mimbu, stand where you are popular. Let's leave this other part to this other person. Okay? That could be a means of trying to survive. And they also know that the young ones are really coming up right now, and they want to take up these leadership roles. And they will want to contest in those particular constituencies. And in wanting to contest, it means that they'll be challenging the dinosaurs, those that have been there for a very long time.
They've come out and said, we need to rise up as old MPs and fight these young ones who want to get into power. We actually have the Chienge MP, who's Honorable Given there. She's literally saying we can't let these young ones come into power. She's been around for quite some time as well.
Yeah, but that's exactly what we're saying. How do we have a process that only seeks to preserve persons that are there? How are we enhancing democracy? Are we going to have a constitution that only preserves the status quo? Are we going to have a constitution that only seeks to maintain those that are incumbent in power? This constitution is just intended to leave Hakainde Hichilema in power as president. What is the essence of saying we are going to take away the democratic process, we'll give you the chance to elect an MP once, thereafter the party will replace? What are you trying to promote? Witchcraft? What is it that you want to promote? One is voted into by the people as a member of parliament. They die, resign, or anything happens to them. And then you say, okay, in fact, even the party firing them, and then replacing them with a member of the party who was not voted for by the people.
Befitting the rights of an individual to vote, to choose a leader of their choice through the ballot.
Taking away that right of everyone else that went to vote, to cast their vote for a particular person that they voted for, you replace with a person that they never voted for. Is that how you avoid a by-election? That is not how you avoid a by-election. President Hakainde Hichilema should be courageous enough to say, let's go all out proportional representation. Let's go all out a mix of proportional and first past the post. As regards the president, let's have a popular president. Let people vote directly for a president. Let a president get 50+1, and let the people also vote for a party, so that we have everyone, all parties being proportionally represented. He should be bold enough or courageous enough to say that, but he's a coward. And the coward will do things such as is happening in this constitution, where you try to ensure that all the provisions that you're making are intended to shield you or protect you or make sure that you remain in power. That is not how we deal with the constitution. That is not how we manipulate the processes that we found that have been working all along, the systems that have been working for us. The only thing we should be doing is making them better, not retrogressing. We should be making the provisions of our constitution better.
Now, let me ask you this question. Obviously, the people out there, like the preamble of the constitution says, we the people, and so on and so forth. Now, what role do you think, or do you believe the constitution should play in shaping Zambia's developmental agenda? We are a third world nation, obviously, and we're looking to developing. We're not that developed, you know.
No, we're not that developed. Do these amendments provide for that development? No, they don't. What we must be looking at right now is how do we have a human rights approach towards development? We need this thing called a right to water, right to education, right to health. Things that are going to put the government on their toes to ensure that they provide these things to the people as a matter of right, not as if it's a favor, where you go and put up toilets and say, we have done you a favor, we built toilets for you on the copper belt. That is not a favor. That is a right. People have the right to a clean environment And government should take up that responsibility to say, we shall provide you with health as a matter of right. We shall provide you with education as a matter of right. We shall provide you with clean and safe drinking water as a matter of right, not a favor that we are giving to you. Let's have those laws. Let's deal with Part 3 of the Constitution. Let's include more rights for the people to enjoy, not put clauses that are only going to preserve one's being in power. That should not be the case. That should not be the case. And this is what this seeks to do. It doesn't enhance anyone's rights. It doesn't make any other person, any Zambian's life better, except for those that are in government. What we should be looking at right now, or questions that President Hakainde Hichilema should be looking at, is that you promised that the dollar would come to 12 kwacha. Has it come to 12 kwacha?
26 kwacha.
Yes, it's at 26. What have you done about it? Is the amendment going to bring it down to 12? No, it won't. You promised that mealie meal prices will come down from 170 kwacha to 50 kwacha a bag of mealie meal. Are these amendments going to make it any cheaper? No, they won't. Do what is going to make mealie meal come to 50 kwacha like you promised. You promised that fertilizer will come down from 700 kwacha, 600 kwacha to 250 kwacha. Have you done so? Now it's fetching 1,200. Is this constitution going to bring that, to cure that? Is it going to bring down the price of fertilizer? No, it won't. You said the cost of living was too high. Have you made it any better? Isn't it only getting worse? You said you were going to make fuel come cheaply. People are going to buy it cheaply at 12 kwacha. You said you were cutting out the middleman in between, because you said there were a lot of middlemen and you were able to bring down the cost of fuel. Have you brought it down? Have you brought it down? Instead, it's now 30 kwacha, 27 kwacha. It hit 32 kwacha at some point, 33 kwacha. What are you doing about these things? Are these amendments going to make the lives of Zambians any better? No, they won't. These are only intended to preserve those that are in government, to continue staying in government. Why are we watering down the management of the civil service? We said we want someone to be secretary to cabinet to have at least 10 years experience as permanent secretary. Why do you want to downgrade it? Why do you want it to bring it to 5 years? Is it because you think your people that you want to put there are not qualified to hold those positions, and you're watering it down for them to fit in that? What problems have we had with 10 years? What problems have we had? Are we trying to introduce cadreism in professional workplaces? And shouldn't we be making it even better to say a person who's going to run the civil service should have been in the civil service for at least 15 years? Why are we not enhancing it from 10 years? Why are we bringing it from 10 to 5 years? What is it that we want to achieve? Who is discussing this, as Mwitwa says? Who has agreed on this particular position? Do they have someone in mind as they are talking about this? All those are very important things that we need to interrogate. And these are not answering to the aspirations of the Zambians. They are answering to the aspirations of an individual. And that shouldn't be the case.
Awesome. Now, let me bring you down to a whole different topic away from the Constitution, obviously. Yes. You've just touched a little bit on the human rights, and yes, that is my next topic. What's your thought really on the state of human rights in the country right now? Do you think we're fully enjoying our human rights as Zambians?
You see, in my practice, the most time I have seen wanton disregard for people's rights, where you have a president who doesn't put his mouth where the money is, or vice versa, is now. You do recall that just when he came in, he said, we want to have a system where people are innocent until proven guilty, which is a system that we've embraced for ourselves. You have police detaining persons without giving them bond. When he said that would be a thing of the past, now there are instructions that are going to people to say, don't release that one. I say so because I'm representing most of the people that are being victimized by this government. The system has been rigged against observance of human rights. You have so many people that are in jail today who shouldn't even be in jail. You have people being denied bond. You have people who being denied bail. You have the police torturing persons. Since when did we start torturing people? Since when did the investigative wing start torturing people? And all this can only be blamed on the very first act that was done by the president. He comes into office and promulgates Gazette Notice 1123, where he assigns ministries, he assigns functions of ministries, and he brings Drug Enforcement Commission, the Anti-Corruption Commission, the police under his office, meaning that everything that is happening in these places are happening.
They report to.
Yes, under his watch. They are directly under his supervision. You've heard of how police have been brutalizing people. You've heard stories of how people are being denied bond when ordinarily they should be given bond. And the law is that should you detain a person within 48 hours, you must charge that person. When you charge that person, within 24 hours, you must present this person before court. If you don't present this person before court, you give them bond. If you don't want to give them bond, present them before court, they'll apply for bail. But the compromise has gone beyond the investigative wings. The compromise has even extended to the courts, where the courts have now been gravely compromised. The judges and magistrates, most of them are very timid. Most of them are being approached by the executive to decide matters in a certain way, to grant them favors in a certain way. And that is just not making sense. We're destroying our system. So if you ask me if at all there's any observance of human rights, and if I had to grade him, as he's been saying this Kwenyu thing, I would say he would get no Kwenyu from me. Because as things stand, there's gross misapplication of the law. There are issues of the rights of people not being respected, and you wouldn't get anything. Look at how that the opposition has not been allowed to hold rallies. How many rallies has the president
That
had?
also brings us to. I want to ask this. Maybe I want to speak for somebody out there, or ask on behalf of somebody who's been wondering this. They are not called rallies, but it says public meetings. All right, where a number of people come through and they are dressed up in red, and there they are. All right, he's talking about the future and what he wants to do for them. In a political term, isn't that a rally?
Well, the president has been having rallies. The president has launched his campaigns. His ministers have launched the campaigns, and they will continue on this trajectory for a very long time to come. They make no apologies about it. In the meantime, the opposition are being stopped. Anyone who is a threat to them is not allowed to hold a rally or indeed a public meeting. Those they perceive as not being threats, they will let them be.
At what point are we supposed to start having rallies? If we were to take it by this document that we have in this studio, at what point do we have to start having rallies?
There is no specific time you are supposed to have a rally. You can have a rally any day, any time. Democracy is a marketplace of ideas. People should be allowed to disseminate those ideas at any given time they wish to. The Public Order Act was not intended to stifle dissent. It was not intended to secure the position of those that are governing in power. It was intended to maintain law and order even as you are having those meetings. Not to stop the meetings, is that there must be observance of law and order during meetings. That is the reason that you only notify the police. You don't get permission to hold those rallies. Those rallies, you have them as a matter of right, because you have the freedom of assembly as guaranteed by the Constitution. You have the freedom of expression as guaranteed by the Constitution. And you, in exercising the Public Order Act says, okay, you notify the police. And if the police can help in giving security, they can help. If they are not able to, you need to provide your own marshals. The reason there's provision for you to provide your own marshals is because it was anticipated that there will be people like the ones that are there now who would want to use the police to stop the event and use the question of manpower to stop the event. That should not go. You should be able to say, okay, we'll take responsibility of our own security. If you're going to hire a security company, you go ahead and hire a security company to ensure that you have that law and order. But that seems to be something that will not be followed, and the rights of the people are being taken away by this government.
Do you think if we were to bring in the aspect of civil society organizations here, do you think they're being allowed to play their part in promoting human rights in our country currently?
Do you know of any?
Well,
have you heard of any? The fact that you're not answering means that you know little or nothing about anyone being allowed to. If there was a time when the civil society has been quiet, has been during this regime. Now, as regards these amendments, they are now coming out. It's a good thing that they are coming out now, but they should not have kept quiet at a time when it was very important for them to speak. When Rizwan was being beaten by the police, when Emmanuel Mamba was being beaten by the police, they kept quiet. When the by-elections were being induced by the UPND, or indeed the executive, they kept quiet. So we gave an impression to this government that they can do anything and get away with it. Look at the insolence with which they have brought these amendments. The insolence with which the president has spoken about these amendments. The insolence with which the spokesperson has spoken about this. They don't need to consult. They can just go about and get what they want done, because we have kept quiet. See, they have been poking us. They've been poking Zambians to say, let's see what they'll do. We'll do this. We'll block ECL. Let's see what they'll do. And all they've been saying is that Zambians are just quiet, listening in. I hope they've not mistaken the quietness of the Zambians for dormancy, because Zambians always have a time when they arise and they speak, and when they speak loudly. So this idea of thinking that you can get away with anything is what has brought us to this point, and that has been helped by the fact that it has been a rule by terror. Look at this Cybersecurity Act. Yes, solely intended to stifle dissent. They found a Cybersecurity Act that was only dealing with issues of bullying.
The chairperson of the alliance, the UPND alliance, actually said he used words like, "We do not send you to say things. And if you are careless in saying certain things that you say, and the law will visit you." What do you make of such a statement, especially from a man of his caliber?
Mr. Mwanza, I do not have to agree with what you say for you to have the right to say it. This government seems to think that if they do not agree with what you have said, then you have committed an offense. If they agree with what you have said, then you've not committed an offense. That is how disillusioned they are. Now, in this state of disillusionment, they come up with the Cybersecurity Act, which, by the way, they had promised that they'll do away with. But they've instead made it worse. They've made it worse in that they're saying that we want to be listening in. We want to be intercepting your calls. We want to know what is happening in your bedroom. And now they're even introducing an issue of CCTV where you have to register. Listen, you have CCTV in this building.
Yes, we do.
Very soon. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
As I was walking in here, I found it everywhere. Now, what they will require you to do is that when you have CCTV, they want to have access to it. They want you to go and register, get a license for having CCTV. That's for your own security, by the way. And then even when you do register, you must tell them the equipment that you are using. Okay? And if you're going to go by the Cybersecurity Act, You must even tell them how to intercept. You must make provision as to how they should be able to get into this storage device of yours. You must also make provision for them to come in and see what you have. Now, why are they being so intrusive? In the first place, they stop you from expressing your mind freely, expressing yourself freely. They decide what is hate speech and what isn't hate speech. Anyone who speaks against the opposition, anyone who speaks against Edgar Lungu has not committed an offense. You speak against HH or any of his ministers, you've committed an offense. How many insults have been said of the leaders of the opposition? And it's very ironic in that if you look at Mavunga and her being jailed, Mavunga was responding to some cadre of the UPND who were insulting Edgar Lungu, saying that this is a no-go area, we'll come, we'll circumcise you. And she was saying, you can't speak like that. You can't speak like that. Our people come from time to time and they're telling us, why are you not doing anything about this? Why are you allowing them to do this? And it's not like we're incapable of responding. We can respond. We are not few. We can respond. We are many. And that was said to be seditious. And she was taken in.
Let me
and
also
look at the misapplication of the law. You have one being given a custodial sentence, another being given